this is Kevin with the Pied Piper podcast, and we're all about following. And because we are followers, all of us follow. And it's interesting, as I've been driving down the road the other day, I saw another storage unit being built. And I thought to myself, that's strange. I mean, there's storage units everywhere. In fact, I started looking up some stuff on this, and it says that it's a $44 billion business in 2024. 44B with $1 billion. It's a trend, and trends are something that we at the Pied Piper podcast like to look at because it tells us a general direction that people are going in. They're following this course. It's the herd mentality. It's scientific, but it's all a part of following. It's about following the path of least resistance. 33% of Americans have decided not to make a decision about stuff that they have, better known as junk. 33% of Americans use self-storage. Baby boomers lead in self-storage. 42% of them have this. And I was looking at an article in MSN the other day, and it said that it was called The Psychology Behind Why We Can't Let Go and Break Free from the Storage Trap. My granddaughter loves this song called Let It Go. Let it go. If you haven't visited, here's what they say. If you haven't visited your storage unit in 6 months, you're not storing your belongings, you're avoiding decisions. That's why it's the path of least resistance. Here's the perspective shift that might help. If you ditch the unit and put the money in a Roth IRA, earning an annualized 5% interest, it would be worth more than $11,000 in 5 years. That's one part. Sometimes the best financial decision is also the best mental health decision, the article goes on to say. Sell what has value, donate what could help someone else, and let go of the rest. They call it an obsession, that in America today we have a storage obsession. Every third person you pass by, around 6 million households have a storage unit. Think about that for a moment. 1 out of 3 Americans has decided their living space isn't enough for the junk that they own. I want to challenge you today because you and I, as Christ followers, are called to be separate, apart. We're not supposed to live like we belong here. In fact, the Bible tells us that we are aliens and strangers, foreigners. And it says in 1 Peter 2, verse 12, I love this, live such good lives among the pagans that though they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day that he visits. Look, we aren't to fit in. We're not supposed to fit in. There are religious, loosely called religious groups that have invaded America, and they don't even try to fit in. Not even the least bit. As followers of Christ, we're called to follow him in every way, not to live like we belong to this world. In 1 John 2:15, it says, don't love the world or anything in the world. If you love the world, the love of the Father is not in you. I'm going to challenge you. We need to understand how important this is. And I know some people may be saying, oh, that's just ridiculous. That's trivial. That's just nothing. No, look, we get in bondage to the possessions that we own. And then on top of that, we got to pay to keep the junk that we may never use again. And that's the fact. You and I need to be different. We need to live simplistic lives. Jesus lived a simplistic life. And if you're going to be a Christ follower, you're going to simplify your life. Some of them today call it minimalism or living a minimalist life. It's only keeping what you need to survive and to live, not necessarily everything you want. That's the difference. Called out people, the church. We don't fit in. We're supposed to stand out because our example is following Jesus Christ. It's something to think about. More than that, it's a call to follow Jesus in every aspect of our lives, and that's what we want to do at the Pied Piper podcast. Follow, like, share, subscribe. The Pied Piper Podcast. God bless.